So, why do I look like that? Don't get me wrong, obviously I look stunning, right? But something's just not quite right. Anyway, I really need to get the batteries for that, because how pretty would that look if I had that on? Not happy about it. Why is it flashing? I think that's what's going on. Let's fix that. Okay. Hello everyone. As you can probably tell from the title of the video, we're going to be talking all about therapy. I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things that I've learned in therapy. Get my makeup bag. I kind of look like I've just sort of ran out into the rain. You know, I had a bit of makeup on now, it's just like smudged off my face, sort of that vibe. I also tried to curl my hair this morning. It's a bit wavy, but not much is going on there. So I'm someone who has been in and out of therapy for about 5 years. So I started going to therapy when I was 16. I'm almost 21, so what's that? Yeah, 5 years. So I've been in and out of therapy for 5 years, right? So I thought this would be a great video to make because I do feel like I've had a few different experiences of therapy. Yeah, therapy's just been a huge part of my growth of my life. It has carried me through into adulthood, which I'm currently trying to do. I'm trying to be an adult recently. I've been doing a lot of adult things like calling up my bank and phone stuff, and you know when adults or like parents used to say, I'm just doing like admin, like I'm just doing admin today, I'd be like, what the hell is that? Like, what do you mean you're doing admin? Like, what? And I completely understand. Anyway, so the very first video that I made was actually called, I think, what was it called? I'll put it here. You can go watch it. What to expect when going to therapy, that's what I called it. So yeah, that was the very first video that I ever made. So I thought, let's make another one because I love talking about therapy. I love it. So let's get into it, shall we? Should I wear this? What do we think? Yes. No? Yes. Yes. Okay, so first thing I've got on my list is, well, these aren't in order. This isn't like, first I learned this, then I learned, no. I've just written generally things down. Okay, let's get into it. Fucking hell. So something that I learned in therapy is that I have all the answers. I am God. Come on. So I used to have this quote in my Instagram bio, everything you need is already within you. So this is something I definitely learned in therapy, 100%. I wasn't under the impression, anyway, that I was going to do the work and that this was a me thing and that the therapist was almost just going to be there to guide me through and kind of hold my hand through it in a way. But yeah, through therapy I've really realised that I have everything that I need within me and that I've got what it takes, and that most of the time it's not to do with external things, and that, you know, if you're trying to work through something, you have the tools within you to work through that thing, and not to say you don't need other people to support you whilst you do that, but you know, it just really opened my eyes to my own personal toolkit, the things that I can do to really help myself that I already had the capabilities of doing before even going to therapy, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it just kind of opened my eyes to that, and all these things, all these realizations that I had built my confidence. Pissed me off. Built my confidence within myself. It made me realize how capable I was as a human being in general, you know? The next thing that I learned in therapy was, no matter your experience, there is somebody out there who is willing to listen to your story. And therapy is an amazing example of this. Yes, therapists are getting paid to listen to your story. They might not want to. They might not want to listen. They're getting paid, so they're going to do it. No, I think therapy just gives you that opportunity to have someone to listen to your story. It makes you realize, wow, like there is someone on this planet who will sit in a room with me for 50 minutes and listen to me. And because, you know, a lot of us don't or didn't have that kind of experience in the outside world with family members or friends or whatever it is, where somebody gave you their full attention and they didn't butt in and they didn't give their opinion and they didn't overwhelm you with, you know, their own theories on whatever you were going through. As long as there are therapists in the world, I will always have that kind of ability to go to someone and for them to fully, you know, be present with me and care about my situation, my story, you know? Okay, something else that I learned in therapy is that I am too self-aware. I am too self-aware for my own good. I'm kind of joking when I say that. I don't think you can be too self-aware. Those of us who are too self-aware for our own good, the reason why we might feel that way is because, first of all, it can be painful and overwhelming to acknowledge all this stuff that's going on inside of us that we're very, very aware of, especially if we have a lot of resistance to it, because in that case, ignorance can be bliss, because at least then you don't really know that something's eating you alive. Whereas if you're very aware of it, you understand that you could do something about it, but you don't have the energy or you don't want to or whatever. But something for me that really stood out and that I realized in therapy is that I try to intellectualize how I'm feeling sometimes, which can be very counterintuitive, counterproductive, right? Because what I've learned is that not everything going on in your mind or in your life needs fixing. Okay, let's just say that again. Not everything going on in your mind or in your life needs fixing. Okay, so a lot of the time, you know, I'd be like, okay, this is what's going on. How can I make sense of this? How can I intellectualize this and make it make sense, like, to the world and to myself? And what I've learned through therapy is that you don't have to do that, and that you're putting yourself through a lot more than you need to by attempting to fix this thing that doesn't need fixing. So, you know, since going to therapy, I've realized, you know, if any kind of emotion comes up, you know, instead of constantly overthinking this feeling and being like, oh, where's this coming from? Like, maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of my... You know? Now I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm feeling a bit sad right now. Okay. And I kind of just sit with it for a bit. And then it might just naturally come to me and I'll be like, oh yeah. You know, instead of just instantly panicking about the way that you're feeling and what's going on inside your head. That's just another thing, a very powerful thing that I've learned in therapy that's really helped me to just manage my everyday emotions. Okay, the next thing that I learned in therapy is that I am capable of happiness, and that, I am capable of true happiness. Like, I can move through horrible times and get to the other side. That is what therapy has taught me. I remember the first time I was, you know, going to see a therapist, and that was at a time in my life where I was really in quite a dark hole. And I remember the first day of that therapy session, and I remember the last therapy session, and how different I felt is unmatched. And that's therapy. That therapy did that for me. And obviously I did the work, you know, to get there. But yeah, hands down, I'm putting that to therapy. Giving that one to therapy. Thank you, therapy. Yeah, so that's what it taught me. It taught me that just because you are in a hole doesn't mean you won't get out. And it's taught me that I am capable of getting out. Whereas before therapy, that was a difficult one. You know, I just kind of thought, well, I'm in this dark hole and that's it for me, you know? But therapy has taught me there can be movement, there can be change. No matter how long you felt like stagnant for and how long you felt depressed for or anxious for, change is possible. And again, that is a process. You don't just wake up one day and think, oh, I can feel better, you know? This was a whole process of this is 5 years of in and out of therapy, you know. I used to be very, very afraid of falling down that dark hole again because I thought I won't get out, like I can't go back down there. I was terrified. And now I'm like, bring it on, like, please don't. I don't want to go back down there. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, like I've been there before, I can do it again, kind of thing. That's just another thing to keep in mind, by the way, if you are in a really dark place right now, or if you feel like you might be going down that road. It's a good thing to keep in mind that, you know, you might feel that way right now. You might feel like there is no coming out of this. There is no coming back from this. Like, I will never feel happy again. I'm proof that you can. And if you want to, you will. Okay? This one's a bit more lighthearted. I've written down here that sound healing is incredible. Okay? I'm gonna put this on my face, but after that, I'm gonna just get my singing bowl and I'm gonna show you, well, let you listen to my sound healing bowl. Here she is. Okay, if you want, you can close your eyes. You can watch my beautiful face whilst I do this. Just listen, just take it in. So yeah, that's just an example of one way to use sound as a healing kind of technique. So therapy taught me this because my therapist actually introduced me to a singing bowl. So she had a really small one. It was probably like the size of a tiny like bowl. This singing bowl was like a bowl, like a small bowl. No, it's literally like that big on the table. And I walk in and I'm like, okay, something new. I was into it, you know. There's obviously loads of different frequencies. This one in particular, that one is actually tuned to the solar plexus. Oh my god, what's going on with me? Like, why am I glitching all over the place? The solar plexus chakra, yeah, you can get them tuned to different frequencies. It's insane. Like, honestly, I love it. So therapy introduced me to sound healing, which I've loved ever since. And it's just an amazing way to ground yourself and to reconnect to the present moment. If you struggle with anxiety or dissociation, sound healing is an incredible way to bring yourself back to the here and now. You know, sometimes we're having out-of-body experiences, or we are just so out of touch with our bodies, or we literally feel like we're just not here. Sound healing is amazing for that. For me anyway, it really helped me get back into my body and ground myself. It's also just nice. Like, the sound is just very captivating. It's very peaceful. There's loads of different ones. There's loads of different frequencies and sounds. And I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on Instagram where they're like, you know, playing a few at once. They're like harmonizing together. Anyways, I feel like I'm on like 1.5 speed right now. Like, why am I just speeding this up? Let's wrap this up. No, I do have a few more things to say. Okay, the next thing. This is probably one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in therapy, is that investing in my mental health is the best thing that I could ever invest my money in. We are our brains. If without our brains, we wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be alive. We wouldn't be able to move through the day and do all the things we want to do, need to do, whatever. Your brain is the way that you perceive the world. It's the way that you make choices. It's the way that you behave. It affects our relationships with ourselves, with everyone around us. Like, your brain's everything. So you will never regret investing in your mental health. You just can't regret it, because mental health is in my eyes, the most important thing ever. Like, it should be, you know. Some people would say that's selfish and that, you know, we shouldn't be thinking about ourselves and the most important thing shouldn't be us. But it's like, if you cannot look after yourself, if you cannot handle your emotions, if you cannot deal with your shit, like, you can't help other people. You can't be a good friend or be a good partner, you know, if you can't be good to yourself. So I just think, yeah, it is the most important thing, and it feeds into those things. It feeds into people, and, you know, I just think it is. So that's something I've learned. You know, I've never looked back and thought,
oh, you know, the amount of money I've spent on therapy, oh, it's just...
No, I've literally not even counted it. I've not even thought about it, because I'm not saying every session of therapy I've ever had has been life-changing, and that, you know, I used to have a therapist who I didn't really like, and it didn't really help me. But that led me to find someone who I did like, and, you know, it's never wasted money. So if that's something that you're worried about, and you're sort of like, oh, but I could be spending this money on this, and I could save for this instead of going to therapy, I just think you won't regret it. You just won't. And if you do, that's your problem. No, I really don't think you'd ever regret it, honestly. Obviously, there's times in our lives where we can't afford therapy, and it's just not something we can do at that time. That's absolutely fine. But if you can go to therapy, go to therapy. Even if you're like, oh, I don't really have anything to work through. Hun, we all do. We all will have something to work through until we die. There's no one person on this earth who is a-okay, that doesn't have anything going on. We all do. So let's get to it, okay? Something else that I've learned in therapy is to live for myself. I remember very distinctly my therapist, I was talking to her about college. I was going to college at the time, studying A-levels, and saying like, yeah, I'm doing these subjects, like I don't really know what I'm doing, like I don't really enjoy it, I don't really know what I want to do, all this stuff. And she kind of just looked at me and she was like, who are you doing that for? And I'd not thought about it before. I hadn't really acknowledged the fact that I was in college because that's what everyone else was doing, and that's what my parents wanted for me. You know, I didn't drop out of college, you know, I'm glad that I stayed. I just think at that time it was so important for me to acknowledge who I was really living for, and to kind of take that power back and be like, you know what, now I'm gonna start doing this for me. And it wasn't a case of, okay, I'm not going to college because that's just what my parents want me to do. It was like, no, okay, now I'm gonna go to college for me. Now I'm gonna go to college because I want a good future and because I think it's good for me. You know, at the time, you know, I was pretty depressed. Like I thought, I need to be in college right now because I need somewhere to go every day. I cannot drop out of college, you know, for my own mental health. So I just started sort of living for myself a bit more and literally just changing the perspective on who am I living for, what choices am I making, and who am I making choices for. So that's a huge thing that I learned in therapy. Okay, I'm slowly starting to look bald. Let's take this off. There we go. Sexy and free. But yeah, so that obviously kind of seeped into other areas of my life. I still kind of live by that now, is that I always think, okay, who am I doing this for? You know, we don't always have to make choices for us. We can make choices for other people. But when it comes to our life decisions and where we're taking ourselves and what direction we're going in, I think it matters. You know, it matters that you're doing it for you and that you're not living your life for somebody else. Number eight, yeah. My experience is valid, whether it matches up to reality or the majority of people's experience. My experience still remains valid. This is a huge one because I feel like we all walk around feeling like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way, or oh, like they weren't that affected by this, so why should I be, you know, always kind of digging at ourselves. This is something I've actually been thinking about recently, just generally, is like we all live in different worlds. All of us. There's not one person on this planet living in the same world as anyone else. That has just changed my perspective on so many things, on huge topics that are still being spoken about, and people are trying to understand this, and there's arguments and huge separation between people and society. We all need to just accept that we are living in different worlds. And it doesn't mean that this world is the right world to live in and that this world is the wrong world to live in. It just means they're two different worlds. And there is so much peace in just accepting that and not trying to fight for your world and be like, no, like this is the way things are. When, yeah, that's the way things are for you. But over here, we do it differently, you know? And I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's what I've learned in therapy, is that my experience is valid, always. You know, sometimes we need to be told, you know what, you're being a bit stubborn, or you're playing the victim a bit here, you're not helping yourself. Sometimes, yeah, we do need someone to hold us accountable when we can't hold ourselves accountable. You have an experience, stop overthinking it. It is your experience. You don't need to change your experience to make it match somebody else's or to make it valid. You know, your experience is valid, always. Okay, this is a very long video. I've been filming for 35 minutes. This is going to be a hefty one to edit, but I've been enjoying it, clearly. Number 9, therapy has given me so much confidence in myself. So I've had a few times where a therapist has sort of just sat there and listened to me, and they've just looked at me and been like, wow, you're really pretty. No, I wish they would. I wish they would tell me that. They've sort of just been that person to be like, you are really going through it, aren't you? Like, you are having such a hard time right now, or you have had a really hard time. Look at you, like, look how amazing you are for going through that and for showing up and for surviving through it. Like, I just feel like therapists can be so good for that. Acknowledging your strengths, like showing you your strengths to you, you know, and being like, let's take a moment, let's pause right here just to appreciate you, how far you've come and how strong you are. You know, we're our biggest critics, and sometimes we really forget to acknowledge how amazing we are and how resilient we really are. Sometimes it does take someone else to tell us, or to give us the space to sit with that and be like, yeah, you know what? I've been through it, and I'm going through it, and I'm still moving. I'm still showing up, doing the work. It's kind of put me in a pattern of gratitude for myself. Always acknowledging, you know what? Yeah, proud of myself today. Like, giving yourself that praise that a therapist gives you. It's sort of like the therapist is almost modeling how we could be treating ourselves in some ways, you know? Okay, last but not least, therapy has taught me how transformative therapy can be. So transformative, in fact, that I took it upon myself to train to be a therapist myself. Yeah, it ultimately led me to embark on this journey of becoming a therapist myself because of the amazing experience that I've had, that I want to give to other people. I just think it's the most incredible job that I could ever have, and I just think it just really inspired me, you know. I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to give people that space to breathe, you know. So yeah, that is my final point. Final thing that I learned in therapy is that therapy is bloody amazing. It's bloody gorgeous. Get yourself to therapy. I am going to leave a few links down below. BetterHelp, obviously, is a online I've heard so many people advertise BetterHelp that I feel like I could just spurt out the ad without it being an ad. But if you are looking for a therapist, or you want to after watching this video, which is amazing if you do, I'm going to link down below the BACP and the UKCP websites. And through those websites you can find an accredited therapist near you. So hopefully that helps if you're trying to oh my god, what is happening to me? I'm literally like glitching. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. If you watch my videos every week, I love you so much. I honestly really appreciate it. It warms my heart, you know? Like, my heart is just bursting out the walls. Don't know what happened there. If this is the first video that you've ever watched of me, hi, do subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you'd like to watch another video. The community is slowly growing. It's very exciting. I think it was like four videos ago I was talking about how I've got like 35 subscribers, and now we have like 70 something. So it's very cute. I really appreciate it. It honestly means the world. Anyways, enough chit chat from me. I'm gonna go blend out these freckles and probably get a cup of tea, because obviously my voice has been struggling through the video. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye!